looks like we're back.
We are back.
And we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Season 3.
Booyah.
Yeah. We decided to take a break every 20 episodes because
we needed a break.
Mental health, right?
Yeah.
And just because we're a full-time family, 4 kids, full-time job, we just can't do 100 episodes in a row. We need space. We need a break. We need to say, okay, let's not record this week, right? And so we decided to break it into 20 episode seasons. So this is the beginning. This is episode 37 overall, but it's the beginning of season 3. Mm-hmm. And in season 3, we have, again, morphed our format a little bit, but it's still going to be very similar, very recognizable. Just
more organized.
Yeah, we just changed it to make it easier to record and make it easier for us to be able to get episodes out in a timely manner and also make last minute decisions on like, well, maybe we don't want to do that topic this week, but we don't have to go re-record fully because we're recording in segments now instead of the full episode back to back and then letting Liam
creative
figure
freedom.
it out. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of it as.
It is creative freedom. So it's gonna be better. So anyways, we're back.
Yay.
How have you been?
Fine. So fine.
Yeah.
I finished painting the shelves in the living room finally after having almost a year of having the paint just in our garage.
And those look, can I just say, I don't want to cut you off, but they look fantastic.
Do they?
I love them every day. Every day since you finish them, I sit down, we sit down to watch TV at the end of the night and I go, God, those look handsome.
Yeah.
Those are really nice looking.
Awesome.
I just really like the way that they make that whole section of the wall look and feel. I love them. Yeah, great.
I have a fear of starting projects and like making sure that they look legit.
Right.
So I put it off, I make all these plans and I put it all in place and then I go, nah, not today. Not today, man.
Right.
And then, but I just was like, I really just had to push myself like hardcore into it. And then I finished one and I was like, okay, I'm going to take a minute. And I took a couple of days and then I did the other one in one whole day.
Yeah, it took you like a week or 2 to get that first one done.
Yeah.
And then I think you had
scary.
the confidence to go, oh, okay, I can do this. And then you went and did the second one really quickly. I think it took you 2 days total for the second one, where it took a couple of weeks for the first one.
It scared me.
And now I feel like you can just paint whatever you want and you won't have that same like...
I know, I'll still have it.
You'll still have that ramp up? Mm.
Yeah, because I have other things I want to paint now. Like I have like I like painting, but then I go, I don't know, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And then I made pickles. And then I made baklava for your birthday.
Oh, yes. That was delicious. Yes, my 47th birthday.
Yeah.
The type of birthday.
The big 47.
The big 47.
Yeah.
The one, it's one of those in-between birthdays nobody gives a shit about.
Except for me, man.
You do. You give a big shit about it. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It was a great birthday.
Yeah. So, like, here I am.
Also, vegan baklava is like...
Yeah, it was... Okay.
I ate a lot of vegan baklava that week, the week of my birthday, and I still lost.
You still lost weight.
I still lost weight, so I feel like good job on me.
Yeah.
But also good job on you for not making it so sweet that I couldn't eat any of it, and also for making it like, pretty low calorie apparently.
Yeah, I guess so.
I was prepared to like either not lose weight or gain a little bit that week because it was so good.
Yeah.
But then when we got on the scale, it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, that's good because in between each layer of phyllo dough, you have to smear butter. But
It's a lot of butter then.
Yeah, but we used vegan butter.
Yeah.
And so, but I was like, this is a lot of butter. Okay, it's just for a birthday. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you have to put like 10 sheets of, I don't know, it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
a
the
crazy.
phyllo dough is probably the least like healthy. It wasn't a healthy thing to eat at all, but it was delicious.
The nut mixture is healthy.
Fairly healthy, yeah.
It's pistachios and walnuts. It was crazy. My lower back felt it, but it was worth it overall to see your face.
It was so delicious.
You've been talking about it for like a million years.
Well, I haven't had baklava since we lived in Arizona, and I had it then because our roommates at the time worked at a Greek restaurant in town, and they could get baklava there, and the guy could make baklava really good. But normal baklava isn't vegan because it has honey.
Mm-hmm. And butter.
And butter. So I haven't had baklava at all since I remembered I love it.
Yeah. And I've been too afraid.
Right. But it's just like my favorite dessert. It's kind of like, Liam said it was like a pecan pie.
Yeah.
And it is similar to that in a lot of ways. It's more savory than it is sugary or sweet, like a cake or a pie. Mm-hmm. Anyways, you made a delicious one. It's delicious.
Awesome. So happy
awesome.
about it.
So what else has been going on?
That's it. Really? I don't know.
It's been a month.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got stupidly, very, very, very stupidly, I got our 5-year-old walkie-talkies.
Oh.
And I don't know if you know, but multiple beeps in your brain, you start to hallucinate that you're constant beeping.
That's right.
You hear the constant beeping, and they're amazing.
I hallucinated somebody tapping a butcher knife against the metal sink last night. Had a real hard time falling asleep. So, updates for me.
Sorry. Go ahead.
If you care to know,
I do. Absolutely. I do.
I switched jobs.
Yay.
Yeah. So AutoZone said, "Hey guys, we know that we're still in a pandemic and our area is not really great on the vaccination front, but time to come back to work because we all think it's the right thing to do." And
make you all go back into the office.
They asked us to come back in the office, and they said August was going to be the time frame. And I just feel like with everything that's going on and the fact that vaccination is so low, in some states it's a much better situation, right? In some states they're up to 70.
Goodness.
Up to 70% vaccination. But here we're hovering right around 40% of fully vaccinated people. But as soon as the CDC said no masks are necessary for vaccinated people anymore, everybody here who didn't want to wear a mask, vaccinated or not, is not wearing them anymore.
It's a free-for-all now.
It's become very unsafe to go into public space, indoor spaces, right?
Yeah.
Outdoor spaces were probably fine, but indoor spaces like for grocery shopping and things like that. So we switched, we've gone away from that. But I didn't want to go to and sit in a building for 12 hours with people whose main culture is you got to work hard to make it. And so people are coming into work sick. People are, not paying attention to safety of others. And that's not to say anybody on my direct team at AutoZone would have been a risk. But then there's 500-600 other people I have to deal with that aren't part of my team. So I said, hey, can we do a remote thing? And the answer was very vague. The answer was very like, we'll see. Well, guess what? I'm not going to wait till August to find out I'm screwed.
Yeah.
So I started looking around for another job. I had 2 leads that I pursued and ended up getting an offer from both of them, which is a story for another time. But that was a kind of a back and forth weird thing.
Yeah.
I ended up taking a job with a company called Elixir Solutions, and they do a pharmacy benefits manager. But I will be working on the design system for the enterprise.
Yay.
Leading that from the design side and just generally managing like the product that we're building there.
You're going to be great.
Thank you. We're looking for a design technologist to come in and help me with that on the front end part of things. So if you are that person or somebody, reach out and we can talk about it.
I wish I was that person.
I wish you were too. That'd be a fantastic job. Also, really encourage people, Black, Indigenous people of color and people in the LGBTQ communities to apply for jobs like that. I think that the more diverse voices we have in design system work, the better that design system will be in the end.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to see a lot of applicants from that side of the spectrum. But yeah, so the job's been great. I started on the 7th of July. It's a pay raise. It's a title, like straight across title trade, but it's 100% remote.
Yeah.
And my boss is super understanding about, mental health, anxiety and stuff like that. So no pressure to get together for meetups or hangouts or any of that stuff.
That's awesome.
But I don't have to go into an office and I can continue to stay safe, especially with the rise of Delta variant happening now in our area, which is, a higher viral load and all of that stuff. I think it's important that we remember vaccinations are a good thing to do. We should do them. Everybody should get vaccinated if they can. Not excuses like, well, I don't trust the government. That's a dumb excuse. Like if you have an underlying health condition, you can't get vaccinated or it would harm you, then that's an okay thing. But otherwise, get vaccinated. Wear a mask because the vaccination isn't a shield.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like Well, that's true. That's not true. It is a shield, but it's not a isolation bubble, so to speak. It's a shield. So stuff can still get around it. You still need to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And then just still social distance when you're indoors, right? Go to an outdoor party if you want to, and if you're vaccinated and everybody else is vaccinated, and have a good time. But if you got to go to the grocery store, put a fucking mask on, vaccinated or not. Because other people have to get groceries and they don't have a choice. Some people don't have a choice, right? Anyways, I don't want to go too much more into that. That's unless you have something to say.
No, it's fine.
No, go ahead. I just thought I was getting a little bit too political there, but I wasn't trying to.
No, I was talking to our son the other day. He came up with the perfect word for when we see like the other day, a big old party and there's lots of people everywhere with no masks. It's disheartening.
It is disheartening.
It's disheartening to see that no one cares for the person next to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of, I say it's a bummer, but I'm from the 90s, but Bryce calls it disheartening. And that's the real true word.
That's perfect.
Feels,
what do we call people we see without masks when we're in public?
Jim Carrey's.
Yeah. Jim Carrey's. Cause they're not wearing masks.
You know.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and then the other big update for me is I have finally begun the culling process of selling off this gigantic stack of board games.
Purge.
And really starting to focus on what it is that I would like in board gaming, what I want to keep and what I want to try before deciding. And then the stuff that I've already tried or have just decided. Like there's a couple of games where I've opened them to try them and read the rules and went, I'm not going to like this. And I put it back and put it directly onto the auction. Yeah. The auction's running until the end of July, which is coming up closely here.
It's about another week.
Yeah, July 31st is, I think, the end of next week. It's a big auction. A lot of people have been bidding, and so I expect to sell all, if not most, of this.
Good.
And then we'll have a more clear space to work on the second phase of that reduction. And my goal is that when I get a new game or I want to get a new game, I have to get rid of something else because I need it to fit on the shelf.
Yeah. It's just about me being mindful.
Yeah.
Too.
Right.
Like if how many games play the same way, but that just have different themes.
Right. How many games do I need that involve laying track? And then,
how many train games do you need? Like pick your favorite 3 maybe or 2 and let's move on. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that there's a case to be made for 3 to own 3 versions of any theme.
Okay.
A heavy one that you play with, like takes a lot of brain power and it's hard or mean. Uh-huh. A medium weight one that you can play with the whole family. Uh-huh. And then a light one that you can play when you want to play a train game, but you just don't have a lot of time.
Yeah. Or it's like late at night and you're like tired or whatever.
Right.
But you still want to play something.
Right. But you do not need 10 in each one of those categories, right? 1 or 2 in each of those categories. Yeah. Preferably 1, right?
Yeah.
And then that will go for any kind of game, right? Like how many worker placement games do you need to own?
Right.
Right. You don't need every worker placement game that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Or every deck building game or every miniatures skirmish game, right?
Right.
You just find the ones that here's a quick playing one. Yeah. Here's one that does something unique and heavy and strategic. And then here's one that's like in between.
Yeah.
So that's my focus. My first focus
sounds reasonable
is trying to get to that point, which it should be okay. It should be easy to do. I'm at the point in my collecting of board games and playing board games where I really understand what I like and what I don't like, to the point where I can read a rule book and go, nope. Now, granted, should I have read that rule book before I bought the game?
Yes.
Yes. But sometimes I don't have time, and the way that board games work sometimes is like...
You just don't know?
It's limited, and you're like, well, I think I'm going to like that. I'm just going to buy it so I have it in case it sells out. Because a lot of times board games get, 500,000 copies, and that's it. You'll never see it again.
Right.
And then some board games get like their IP canceled, so that game will never exist again in that same form. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the FOMO part of it, which I'm trying to work really hard against.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Is you are so scared of missing out that it's almost compulsive or obsessive. It's almost just an obsessive thing to like, I gotta have that in case so many scenarios could happen, and that's a good thing to keep in mind.
Well, yes, and also in fairness, that doesn't happen that often to me.
Yeah.
But it does happen occasionally where, people will be raving about a game and it's like, it looks like it'll be right in my wheelhouse, but I know there's only going to be 1,000 copies printed. Or it's some sort of a Kickstarter where you only ever get to get the full game if you back that Kickstarter.
Yeah. Which
what I've started doing with Kickstarters, if I feel that, if I go, I got to really have this game, I back it for $1. And then I get Pledge Manager access. But if I've changed my mind by the time that opens up, I've only lost $1. Right? But if I change my mind by the time that opens up and I went all in at the beginning, now I've lost $300 or $400.
Yeah.
And I've got to worry about reselling that game.
Yeah. Well, that is a sunny side of that.
Yeah,
I
it's a
guess.
smarter way to do it, right? So anyways, that's it. The board game thing and then the job change, which those are big. Those are big things for me. The job change is huge.
Yeah.
I was really concerned that I would it would stall my, my health journey, but
It didn't do too badly.
I had 1 week where I was really stressed out when I was trying to decide which job to take, where I didn't lose any weight. I just stayed steady. And then I started losing again. So I think we're out of the woods there. We'll see tomorrow. I got another way in, but it's hard. The health journey's hard.
Yeah.
But your help has been really invaluable.
And it's so important, especially now, to focus internally just as much as you're, trying to take care of a house, trying to take care of a family, doing an important job for people and doing a good job for other people. And, just being a human being, you gotta take care of yourself. Like you can't, it's difficult for me to even say, and I say it to remind myself just as much that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
You have to do little things here and there to be kind to yourself. You are a good person. You're a kind person. You help wherever you can, but you are not very kind to yourself. So you should start with yourself first, because you can't help other people if your cup is empty. And that same goes for me. I'm not good at it.
That same goes for you.
I know. I'm not good at it either.
Yeah.
I've been trying to be kinder to myself with my internal dialogue.
Right.
But not, when I mess up, I'm even harder on myself. So it just negates all the good I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
At least I'm trying.
Yeah.
And that's, I learned that from our little lady. Just
yeah, she's a good teacher.
Just
Even
trying
if she's
is
sometimes pretty annoying. She's a good teacher.
Oh, she's a good teacher and patient and
I think every kid at 4 or 5 years old is kind of annoying in some days.
I know, but our mid kids, our first child, yes.
No, the mid kids were annoying.
It was
at
a
5
struggle.
too.
And I'm so glad that he's a grown up now and he can be, he can be reasonable.
Yeah.
Our mid kids spoiled me rotten because, they would listen and then, they would kind of be out there a minute and I'd go, hey, and they go, oh, you're right. My bad. But now with our youngest, I was like, Jesus Louises. She's back to the craziness.
I do wonder about that sometimes. Is that just a personality quirk then?
It might be. They're just very spirited and they know what they want.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they're 5 or, going on 23. They know what they want. And no one's going to tell them otherwise.
Well,
so I can appreciate it. I can get it. I can get behind it to a certain degree.
I want our Fred to be strong and determined and powerful and not take no shit.
Yeah.
But that is a hard thing to, teach and instill, but then also have the patience for.
Yeah.
Because when they're 5, it's not that she's being unreasonable. That's not the case.
Yeah.
It's just that she doesn't have the emotional capacity
and
to
she
ask
shouldn't.
for the things. So sometimes it just turns into I don't want to say meltdown. That's not a fair statement, but turns into more of a dramatic occurrence than it would if she could just say, but I really want these walkie-talkies because it makes me feel this way, as opposed to just crying because she doesn't have the walkie-talkie in her hand right that moment. Right?
Yeah. And it's more of my reaction. And so those scenarios where I say one thing and then she gets upset, that's on me.
Yeah.
Because she's not supposed to at 5 have the emotional whatevers to tell me anything. I'm supposed to teach her those words.
Right.
And I'm supposed to give her the words for her to describe what she's feeling and thinking. But, you know, when bedtime is at 7:30 and we're closing in on 8 and I'm like, oh, I need you to just stop now.
Yeah.
That's on me, because that's being more reactive than I want to be.
Well, but you're a human being.
Yeah.
You are up, you know, almost 24 hours a day. It's hard, right? It's hard to be everything to another person 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
For 10, 15 years, right?
Yeah. It's
tough. And you've got tough. 4, you know, you've got Bryce and Liam at a point where they really don't need you constantly, right? Which is a great thing, but they still know when it's time to come to you and say, hey, I need help.
Yeah. Without,
you know, just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel that way. I don't know when it's okay to go and say, I need help. Right. I was a latchkey kid. You know, both my parents worked. I was alone a lot of the times. I kind of just would leave the house in the morning and not come back until night. You know what I mean? Like, I was alone a lot.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the fault of my parents. They were doing the best that they could do in the time period.
Yeah.
But it also caused me to have some internalized traumas, you know? So I'm glad that our kids, you know, they're not perfect. They have their own things, their own traumas along the way, but none of them come from neglect or abuse, right?
Yeah.
So,
none of them have to self-soothe.
Right.
I never, when we were kids, that was a big, huge, like, Ferber method or whatever.
Buck up.
Yeah. It is to let them cry it out. If they don't learn how to self-soothe at 2 months old, then they never will learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And then when we learned how to do it, now it's like the opposite. Now we can't accept anyone to comfort us because we're like, well, I just need to fix it myself. Yep. No one else can fix this. It's up to me to fix it. Yep. Which is not always a good mental thing to have.
That's what I think is great about you know, our older boys, is that they just try to figure something out. And if they can't figure it out, they know when it's time to say, okay, well, I'll ask for help now. Yeah. Instead of like banging their head against something and not ever being able to get help, or the other way, just coming directly and saying, I want to do this thing, but I don't know how to even start. Yeah. Which that's also okay if it's something big, right? Yeah. And if you have a trusted adult or whatever, or a trusted person in your life, that's okay to be. I think communication is the hardest. Communication is rough. It's so hard as a human adult. It's very difficult. Or a human child. I don't know how to do it a lot of the times. I don't know how to do it. That's why I like this podcast, is because it helps me talk to you in a way that feels more chill and laid back than in like trying to have a conversation about something hard in the moment when, you know, it's too hot or I'm irritated or, you know, or vice versa. It's really hard to have communication when you're both got other shit happening. Yeah. But this lets us talk in a way that's more open, you know? Yeah. Which I really, I'm really grateful for this podcast. Me too. I don't care if we never grow past 4 listeners. I just like doing this with you. Yeah. All right. Are you ready to get into our topic of the week? Oh boy, I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. I have never been more ready. Never been more ready. No, that's not true. There's been times I've been more ready, but I'm pretty ready for this. You didn't go with it. You're just like, oh, okay, this is sounding too intense. Yeah, I felt like I was getting a little bit too intense there. All right, we'll get into the topic right after this ad. All right, high five. Hey Lou. Yeah. Have you heard of these things? Have you seen this? Have you heard this? Walkie-talkies. Walkie-talkies. Yes. No, I've only heard of hockey-talkies. Hockey-talkies. Yeah, our 5-year-old, she calls them hockey-talkies. And if you haven't seen these things, they're so amazing. Yep. She can go in another room. A different room. Yeah. From the room you're in. Oh, yes. Or sometimes she could be standing right next to you. And she talks. Oh, just right next to you as well. Yeah, she talks into one. So they have a lot of range? Yeah, well, 3 miles. But she doesn't need that much. You have one and she's got one, and you hold it up to your face and you yell into it as loud as you possibly can. Right. So one, you get so much surround sound. Nice.
of her saying, I love you, mommy.
A lot of
and
feedback.
then you have to talk through the talkie back at her.
Right.
Within 3 seconds of her letting go of her button.
It's not enough to just say it to her when she's standing right there.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Right.
No. And so if you drop it, you have to redo a battery situation. It's just the greatest thing. They take up 4 batteries, which is not too much, but it's
For both. Yeah.
no, 4 in each one.
Oh, so 8 batteries total.
It's 8 batteries. Like who
That's not
doesn't
too bad.
Who doesn't have 8 batteries just laying around?
I have hundreds of batteries.
Okay, but are they the AAA kind? Because that's what this needs.
Oh, AAA. No, I have 4.
Okay. Well, they also come in great colors like pink and purple and blue and purple. And, you know, your 5-year-olds will really, 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 really love them.
But what about the people who have to interact with the 5-year-old and the walkie-talkies? Hockey-talkies, sorry.
Yeah, it's an ager. It'll age you about 10 years.
It's an ager.
Yeah.
Walkie-talkies, it's an ager.
You could have them for maybe 24 hours. You can have said dropping accident and gain 4 gray hairs. Like it is just like it's future. It's the future.
It's
man.
the future. It's
Yeah.
the future of communication with your toddler.
Yeah, and they might throw some sass at you because they want to take them to bed. They have to take them to bed because what if you get up in the middle of the night to go pee and she wakes up and you're not there? Then what are you going to do?
Right.
What are you going to do? You're going to have to be able to talk through the walkie-talkie to said person,
Yeah.
hoping that they remember to take their walkie-talkie
Yeah.
to the bathroom. And if you don't answer within 3 or 4 seconds, they will cry tears.
So
Real tears.
So it sounds like you really love these products. Where can our viewers and our listeners find Hockey Talkies so that they can experience the same greatness as you have in the past 48 hours?
I don't know, man. Just, wherever you can. Just, you got to do it.
Yeah, you got to find them.
It will change your life.
Life changers.
Yeah. It's enriched mine so much.
So Hockey Talkies, Real Life Changing Agers by Mamco.
Get them today.
All right. You ready to get in this topic?
Yeah.
Topic of the week.
Let's do it.
It's going to be about singing competitions.
Oh boy. All
And
right.
how do we feel about these things?
Opinions.
Now, I'm talking about specifically American Idol, The Voice.
America's Got Talent.
Well, America's Got Talent isn't really a singing competition.
No, but they do have singers on
They
there.
do have singers, but I guess it still counts.
It does still count.
And then there was one more, wasn't there? Oh yeah, that new one on Netflix. I guess that one's not really a competition as much as it's a game show. But the one that's where there's a group of people and they all have to sing a song and try to hit the
Oh yeah,
notes.
karaoke or something.
It's like a karaoke type of song, but the people are actually singing and trying to hit the right notes.
Oh.
And whoever's the most accurate gets to go into the next round, and whoever's the least accurate can get voted off.
Yeah.
But it's encapsulated one show at a time, so it's not a season.
Right.
So maybe it's not a competition as much
No.
as it's just a game show.
Yeah, that's just a game show.
I can't remember the name of it now, but I enjoyed watching it a couple of times. But American Idol, The Voice, is there one we're missing other than America's Got Talent?
Those
I
are the
think
3 that I
Those are the 3
was
I've
thinking
heard
of too.
Yeah. So what is your opinion,
Okay.
first of all, on the concept at all? And then again, what is your favorite one?
Okay. So my opinion is twofold. One, it gives an opportunity to people that may not, in a normal situation, would not have
May
access.
not get that visibility or
Yeah. And in that way, it's a good thing. But I agree with wanting to like scout for talent and whatever, and finding new people to liven up genres like that, right? But I don't like it necessarily in general. We have a problem with, especially in America, we have a problem with people who do nothing and are not so great being hugely famous.
Right.
And then we have people who are great who may not have like the perfect look or whatever it is, and they're not famous.
Right.
And I'm specifically talking, like in my head, How I Became the Bomb. They're from Chattanooga. They're amazing. They're an
The band,
amazing
yeah.
band.
I don't know if they even exist anymore. All their websites are down, and
But they're an amazing band.
Yeah, they're
And
great.
They used to be on YouTube and you could listen to them. But we have CDs of them, but they're not famous at all. And then you have Jean Richardson. She's a really great singer, songwriter from Nashville.
Former coworker of mine.
Yeah, she's not famous. Like, what the hell is that about?
I think that in Jean's case, though, I do think that she has got a small amount of fame locally. Like all of the people who get together for those round robins and those singer-songwriter things know Jean.
Yeah.
And know how much talent she has.
And she's got a lot of charisma, and she's just so like kick-ass, like right in your face. Like, she's just really personal to talk to.
Yeah, her singing is incredible.
Yeah, she's great. And
But you're right. There's a thing there where she could be talent, and also she's got the look, I think.
Yeah.
I think she's very pretty. I think she could be a big, huge star, but there's something somewhere along the way that, whether it's, like somebody physically blocking or time or what, something has stood in the way of her hitting the stratosphere.
And there's another singer-songwriter from Nashville, Amy Romero.
Also a
Palmer. She's
former
great,
worker.
not famous. Like, and then there, I'm not going to go into that, but back when American Idol first started, the very first season, like with Kelly Clarkson and the other people, don't know them at all.
Yeah.
She's the only one that stands out in my head that has made it in a way, I guess. And she won.
What about Carrie Underwood?
Yes, but I always forget. Like, I forget their names. I forget who they are.
Well, I think it's more interesting that you forget that Carrie Underwood was even on American Idol.
Yeah, that's true too. And those judges at the time, they made it seem like you had to have the look and the talent and like the personality to even be any kind of famous.
Well, that was true though at the time.
And then we hit a situation, I don't know what time frame, but where if you were on YouTube and you could promote your own music and you could make your own records and you can produce yourself.
Yeah.
And then those people kind of got famous in a way, and no talent scout, quote unquote, had anything to do with anything. So I think that's also interesting.
Yeah.
That's a much better, easier way, maybe not easier.
Yes, but can you name a single artist that is world renowned that started on YouTube?
That I know. I don't know.
I still think that there is some level of gatekeeping where even if you get
So
super
much.
popular on the internet, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have mass market appeal. And it doesn't mean that you're going to, skyrocket into fame. There's this one YouTube, I think, sensation that I've been following for a very long time named Mackenzie Johnson. And she's a singer-songwriter. She's definitely got the look, right?
Yeah.
But I've been following her for, I think, 10 years now on the internet, and she's not famous. She's not super famous. And there's absolutely no explanation to that at all, other than somebody somewhere saying, oh, you're not good enough. Like old school Simon Cowell, which he doesn't do as much anymore. But it's baffling, right? Because I listen to her sing and I go, that's amazing.
Right.
Why? And she's pretty, and where all of the roadblocks are gone. Why isn't she super famous? What's gone on there?
Yeah.
And I've started thinking about this a lot recently, and not in terms of singing competitions, but just in terms of anything that requires you to have a high level of skill or talent. The more people doing it, the much harder it is to become.
Yeah.
Right? And if you think about acting, right? There are hundreds of actors who you visually recognize, but you could not tell me their name.
Yeah.
Right? But they're getting paid and they're working and they're actors.
Yeah.
Right? Me, I've never been published. My writing has never been published officially by a third party. But I've written 21 short stories.
Yeah.
That's pretty prolific.
Yeah.
That's a pretty prolific amount of stories to have written. And they all are out in the world. Anybody can read them, right?
Yeah.
Am I not a writer?
Yeah. That's the thing. No, you definitely are a writer. and you can be a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
I don't know. We put so much pressure on you got to be famous for this thing.
Success has to look like this or it's not success.
Right. Like if, you can be an actor. There's different varying degrees of being an actor, and maybe you like just doing community theater, and right? You like doing community theater, or you're on Broadway, or not everyone's going to be a household name like Brad Pitt.
Yeah, you like to be in every episode of SVU and Law and Order, Criminal Intent, and Star Trek, and nobody knows what your name is, but everybody goes, "Oh, I know that guy. He's great."
Right.
Or I know that lady. She's awesome.
In this country, we put so much pressure on to be famous for this thing that you can do.
Yeah.
When we should be happy with whatever degree we find success. Like success has to be defined by ourselves, not by the masses. So we were watching America's Got Talent a little while ago, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And there was this group, 2 brothers, I think they're twins, and they had kind of longer hair and they had facial hair, and they're called the Moon City Masters.
Right.
And they started singing, and Simon Cowell immediately buzzed them.
Right.
Like, it wasn't even 6 or 7 seconds, and he buzzed them. And so then they stopped and left. And then we went back and we listened, because they're on iTunes, the Moon City Masters. They're on iTunes, and Liam and I listened to a couple of their songs, and they're great.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. They're like another Ava Brothers, but like almost funkier, because they're great.
Right.
There's no reason that he should have gate-kept them without listening to at least one song.
Right, but here's the situation. That's America's Got Talent, and this is why I don't think it really counts as a singing competition, is because it's more of like a Vegas or circus competition, right?
Yeah.
So singers don't do particularly well in the competition.
That's true.
They can get on the show and, like in your case, caused you to go look them up. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're really looking for singers.
Yeah.
And also, if you are a singer, especially for America's Got Talent, you can't just be good.
Yeah.
And this is what I was talking about, is like that gatekeeping is at the point where you have to do something surprising or unexpected to even get people to notice anymore. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's on YouTube and TikTok, and everybody is writing a novel, and you have to do something that
Instagram.
makes somebody who can do something for you go, huh?
Right. Which is so super annoying.
Right. So they're great. They're a great band. You've sent me the songs. Love them.
Yeah, they are great.
But they weren't good enough for America's Got Talent. And they probably couldn't have done The Voice or American Idol either.
Yeah.
Because they're looking, the bar gets raised every single year.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, we're back to where we started, where we're in this kind of culture of anybody can do it. Now we don't need gatekeeping, but now we're back to a culture where we do, because there's so much chaff.
Yeah.
We have to find the wheat, and the only people who can find the wheat are people who are experts.
Yeah, but a normal, regular, average layman like me is like, well, what does Simon Cowell have anything to do with talent? Like, how can he
He's
judge?
responsible for like so many
I get that.
mega famous acts.
I get that. It's just like a judgmental thing.
Because you don't like Simon.
He became famous on American Idol for being rude.
He became famous in America for that.
Okay, fine.
It's the same reason that Gordon Ramsay's famous in America, is for being a rude Brit, because we all love it when people yell at each other.
I don't understand that.
But that's not what he's famous for. He's famous because he has made all of these really famous acts who have gone on to be incredible musicians and musicality, right? Mm-hmm. That's why he's famous, really. But most people just remember him from that first season of American Idol, where he was like, I don't think you're the one.
That's what I'm saying. The average person who doesn't know anything about what he does behind the scenes just looks at him and goes, like, he's famous for being rude. What does he have the right to tell, the Music City Masters that they're not good enough to have a Vegas act or Vegas whatever.
It's every right. It's just like, you know, if somebody
It's
who has
mean.
somebody who has no experience, you know, doing web design coming to me and saying, here's what I think we should do for web design. And then I go, well, I don't think this is exactly, I wouldn't be rude like Simon was.
Yeah.
That was partly for the show, right? But I'd be like, I don't think this is really fitting what we need to do. And here's why. My expertise of 21 years allows me to be able to say that. And it's the same thing for him, right? Is he had this expertise that allowed him, he was rude. Yes, I agree with you 100%. But that doesn't take away the fact that he has expertise that allows him to say, yeah, I don't think you got it.
Yeah.
And I do think you have it.
I know. I don't know. Maybe it's a judgy thing, but like,
It's not judgment. No,
I think it's a judgy thing because Nick Jonas is like, what, 12? And he's telling people, oh, I don't think, I'm just not hearing it. Okay, but
Nick Jonas is also
It's annoying.
part of a platinum selling band of brothers who people literally.
okay, all right. I get that. I get that. But you know, I don't. Okay, so let me read you something.
Well, but real quick before that, I just want to make a point about that. You have to admit that people don't get famous to the level of the Jonas Brothers if they suck at what they do.
Okay, but 98 Degrees.
You don't have to like them.
Okay, but 98 Degrees
Aren't famous anymore.
Okay, but they were famous
For a minute.
and like panty throwing famous
For half a minute.
for being slightly cute. They not for
Who's still famous from that boy band? From that boy band thing?
the Nick guy. I don't know his last name.
I'm not talking about. No, he's not. Nick Lachey is not so famous. I'm talking about from that band of boy bands that came out around at the same time that knocked Boys to Men out. 98 Degrees, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. You remember those bands, but who of those people that were in those bands are still famous?
Justin Timberlake.
One person out of 12 is still considered to be a famous person and amazing.
Even
the
though-
reason why is because those other people weren't as good at their jobs.
Yeah. And Boyz II Men was the better boy band and the first one out of all of those.
And they're still famous. They're still doing shows. Those
Thankfully.
other bands aren't. Justin Timberlake skyrocketed out. And then look at One Direction. Who can you name from One Direction?
No clue.
Harry Styles.
Oh, okay.
This is what I'm saying. Is like it's not necessarily
And that's why I'm thinking that when my point of view is just judgy because I'm ignorant.
right. But you could name all three Jonas Brothers, right?
No. There's the older one, and then there's Nick, and then there's another one.
Yeah, don't forget about Kevin, the fourth Jonas brother.
That's not okay. Anyways, let me read you this thing.
Yeah.
This
Do you
is
get
what I'm
what I'm
talking
saying,
about.
though?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
But that's why I think my view matters still because I'm an average ignorant person that doesn't know any of these.
No, your view matters. Totally matters.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't.
So this, I found this, and this sums up perfectly what I am thinking. It's Dave Grohl, okay? And he says, quote, "When I think about kids watching a TV show like American Idol or The Voice, then they think, oh, okay, that's how you become a musician. You stand in line for 8 fucking hours with 800 people at a convention center, and then you sing your heart out for someone, and then they tell you it's not fucking good enough. Can you imagine? It's destroying the next generation of musicians. Musicians should go to a yard sale and buy an old fucking drum set, get in their garage and just suck. And get their friends to come in and they'll suck too. And then they'll fucking start playing and they'll have the best time they've ever had in their lives. And then all of a sudden they'll become Nirvana. Because that's exactly what happened with Nirvana. Just a bunch of guys that had some shitty old instruments and they got together and they started playing some noisy ass shit. And then they became the biggest band in the world. That can happen again. You don't need a fucking computer or the internet or The Voice or American Idol." End quote.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I mean is that if you're looking for real, true heart of music, which is, I guess, again, that's kind of a judgy thing because there's varying degrees and there are varying appetites
Right.
of people that want different things. But true fucking heart of a musician or of a singer or songwriter, has to be genuine, and it has to come. It can't be manufactured, and it can't be, faked.
No, I get what you're saying, and I think that's for me the main problem with singing competitions in general is that one, they're casted.
Yes,
because people who actually get to have in-person auditions didn't stand in line. They just got cast to do that because they've got a background story that's compelling for television. They're really good looking, or they're surprising. Like they look a way that you would not expect them to sound. And, they're already good. Right.
Yeah.
And then they get in there and then they have that audition. But then at a certain point, the judges don't matter anymore. The people who actually have the expertise in determining if this person could do this for a living, they don't matter anymore, and it becomes a popularity contest.
Yeah.
And so you see all the time people winning those shows that don't have any business winning compared to someone else. Yeah. Like the last season of The Voice, the winner, he was fine. He was great. Or no, that was American Idol. He was fine, but the second runner-up was incredible.
Yes.
But because he didn't look how America expects him to look, he wasn't as gorgeous.
Yeah.
And as
quote unquote
as attractive.
Yeah.
He can't win. Why? He was the best singer.
Yeah.
All the way through the whole thing, the best singer.
This is kind of frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating. And it's not about, at the end of the day, it's not about competition. It's about popularity.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't even find us the best musicians. So what's the point of it other than just mind-numbing television to zone out to?
Yeah.
And the same is true of The Voice. The Voice, same thing happens. The judges are still like, or they call them coaches, I guess.
Yeah.
The coaches are still like involved throughout the show, but they don't make decisions anymore after a certain point. Now it's America. And on the last Voice, America made a good decision. Great singer, but not the best decision.
Yeah.
Not the best singer of the whole show. The best singer in the whole show got voted out really early.
Yeah.
So what is the reality there is it's just a popularity contest for TV, and we're not actually producing, because aside from Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, and Daughtry, can you name any other winner or runner up of
Ruben Studdard?
Okay.
But other than that, no.
Right. Can you name any Voice winners? I can't. Even the one that we watched the whole season and rooted for her the whole time, and then she won it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know her name. Where'd she go?
No.
Because we're not producing actual artists out of these shows anymore.
Yeah. This last season, Cameron, I remember his first name because, obviously Cameron sticks out in my head, but, he was great of the two choices, but of the whole entire season, I wouldn't have picked him above someone else.
No.
I know
the best singers didn't even make it to the finals.
Yeah. So it's a huge form of gatekeeping that I don't approve of.
Yeah.
And especially when.
But it's artificial gatekeeping because it's not really letting these people into the industry either.
Yeah. Right.
The Voice likes to say, "Oh yeah, we keep in contact." No, you don't.
Yeah.
You do not. You do not.
We don't even know
the things for the TV
the
show, and then you move on.
Yeah.
You're not calling up Cameron after the show and being like, "Hey, do you want to come open for me?" You're not helping him get a record deal. None of that stuff, right?
I mean, I hope the opposite is happening, but
you hope
we don't hear about it.
You never hear about these people again.
Yeah.
Unless they get lucky and get brought back on the show to be a mentor for the new group of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I think the people that have the most outlasting success are the self-made people.
Yes, because those people have the drive and the ambition to become the thing that they want to become.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a
like them or not.
Right.
Okay. Artists that make it and have an album and make music for a long period of time and have consistent hits, they weren't made in these little show factories. They weren't made by somebody like Simon Cowell scouting them and casting a boy band.
And with that, not everyone can be a Taylor Swift. Not everyone can do that.
Not everybody can be Billie Eilish, right? Like Billie Eilish is so unique, right? But that's the point I was making earlier. you're not going to have 50 Brad Pitts and 20 Tom Cruises. You're going to have a Brad Pitt and a Tom Cruise. Then you're going to have a layer below them, which is a bunch of named actors who you know.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have a layer below them that are recognizable, but you don't know them. And then there's millions of actors who are getting paid all of the time, consistently, full-time work, but you don't know shit about them. And it's the same for books. You got your Dean Koontzes and you got your Stephen Kings, and then you got a million people writing books that you've never even heard of.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't recognize on the street. I just want to be one of them people.
Yeah. And the same goes for like,
if I could change my career to be just a book writer, even if nobody ever knew my name and I never had a bestseller on the New York Times, I would feel that was successful. Hell, I feel like just being able to write short stories and put them on my web blog feels successful to me, because the point was to write that story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether 2 people or 100 people read it, right? Whether I get paid or not, my goal was to write the story. I did it.
Yeah.
Right? If my goal is to get it published, that's a different conversation.
Right. And everyone has different goals of success and different definitions of success.
Right. But even in my industry, web development, we have people who everybody knows. Zeldman, Meyer, right? Cedarholm, right? Santa Maria. Everybody knows these people, right? Are they the best designers, developers in the industry? Absolutely not. But it doesn't matter, okay? Because there are a lot of people who you don't know making a living doing design and doing development, right? There are people who are below those big guys, right? And then there's another layer, and I'm in that another layer, right? I'm not super well known, but I'm not unknown either, right? But that's the thing, is that there has to be layers. There has to be a hierarchy to fame, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because if there isn't, we can't all be famous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I just think that we need to not put so much emphasis on famous.
No, I don't put any emphasis on famous. I'm just talking about, like, I don't give a shit.
No, I know.
Right? Like there's like a handful of people who I would be starstruck if I met in person.
Yeah.
But most people, I'd just be like, hey, you do good work. And I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't believe I met you. Fuck that. Right? I'm the guy who is walking down the hallway at Amazon and making direct eye contact with senior VP and saying, hey, even though he told his assistant not to tell me not to do that, because I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care about that stuff. But there are those levels, and we can't deny it, right? We can't deny that there are super famous people, kind of famous people, less famous people, and then people who are doing that same work, not famous at all.
Yeah. Who could be better than the super famous?
They could be, right? But something didn't break through. I mean, is Brad Pitt the most attractive man that's ever lived? No. Is he a very attractive man? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Is Tom Cruise the best actor you've ever seen? Can that guy act circles around any character actor?
No.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But there's something there's something about him that people are like, I'm going to pay a ton of money to see him do stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same thing for all of the arts.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for any job,
Anything.
really. But we don't, like if you're a grocery store person, you're not a clerk that's famous, right? But there are levels there too in jobs as well. I don't know. I think that it's very interesting, these shows, and I do like watching them because I like hearing people sing. But I am always confused by what choices are being made. Like sometimes somebody comes out and rocks it out and then nobody turns for them, or they say it's not going to be this time. And I'm like, is my hearing, what's happened here?
I don't. And then someone else can sing and you're like, I don't think so. Yeah. And then forward chair turn. What?
Yeah. They're like,
that's where it
82 chair turn.
That's where it gets confusing for me.
I would go out and I'd be like, got us a lot of stuff in the trunk and I made myself 70 chair turn. And then I'd be like, I pick Alicia Keys. It was so hard. Like, it just, I think the thing is that they're fun to watch shows, but they really, at the end of the day, they're not producing something at the end. they're not producing a star.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah. And you have to be
They're producing
careful.
a low level star, somebody who's super popular on Instagram
Yeah.
versus somebody who's like could be a judge
Right.
on the show or a coach.
I think you just have to be so careful about how you define being famous or success. You just have to be very careful with that because it can't be an all or nothing.
Right.
You know, you can be a Twitch streamer and love it and not be the three that every person can name.
Yeah.
Like it can be just,
That's a good example too. You can be a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or a TikToker.
a photographer or a 3D artist.
Anything
or
you want to do.
An animator. And no one knows who the fuck you are, but you're loving life because you're getting to do what you love.
Yeah. And if your definition of success for that adventure is being met, then there's nothing else to do.
It's just scary. You watch TikTok or Instagram and you got these little tiny kids are like, I just want to be famous when I grow up. And you're like, oh my God, that is not good.
No.
It's not good.
We have a whole generation of kids who see other kids having some sort of fame on the internet.
Yeah.
And then they start to feel like, oh, well, I'm not famous. What's wrong with me?
Right.
And that's not a great place to be.
And being famous for opening up toys on camera can't be a thing either. That can't be a thing.
Well, that happens in the board gaming industry too. There's people who are like, there's board gamer reviewers that are top tier, like Rodney. Well, he's not a reviewer, but like media, I should say, board game media, like Rodney Smith. Everybody knows who Rodney Smith is.
Well, he's great.
Well, of course.
Because he's thorough and I like.
But then there are 100 other channels you've never even heard of who are doing great work and they feel fulfilled and successful. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yes.
And I think I think a wedding singer is a good example of people go, hey, not the movie, but people go, hey, being a wedding singer isn't the best way to be a singer for your job. Well, what if it is for you? What if singing at weddings fills you with joy and it makes you a living?
Then it is about the movie because he was having fun. He was doing his.
Well, yes, it does line up with the movie.
He was doing his jam.
Yeah.
That was.
But
he
it
gets to
wasn't
sing
enough
every
for
day
Lisa.
for a living.
Yeah.
But then his fiance was like, "You're just a wedding singer," and he's like, "Okay, that would have been good to know yesterday."
Yeah.
Right? That's amazing. And then Drew Barrymore fell in love with him because of who he was.
Yeah.
Not what he did or how successful he was.
Right. No, I guess you're right. That does line up fully. But that's what I'm saying is like, it's okay to be happy with the level you are at if it's fulfilling you and bringing you joy.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
You do not have to ride a rocket ship shaped like a dick to the sky.
Yeah.
To
just
be fulfilled and successful.
To float for 6 minutes. Like, go the fuck out of here.
That's not success. That's excess. All right. I think we've exhausted this topic. I want you to know that I'm really happy to be back talking about stuff with you because you're fun to talk to and I love you.
I love you too.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Lou and Me podcast, subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or Spotify.
And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Lou and Me Podcast.
Lou and Me is a Matthiasaurus production, produced and edited by Moose. The song is No Carpets by the New Forevers, hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.